Inside Teacher Admin, you can place your marks or grades for the classes you teach. To do so, you need to go to the Class Grades information pane. It'll default to the current year, and depending upon what positions you're in, you'll see a division. If you're in more than one division, you can select the division you want. It'll also default, based on the date, to the current marking term. You can select other marking terms. Note that in the list, it shows you your class and how many grades are to be done and how many to be reviewed. We'll talk about the review process later. You can also open this up and see which students have been done and which students have not been done. Each one of these students can also be viewed in detail if you want to go to some other element for them. And the same for the class. You could go to other elements of the particular class. But if you just left click, you'll get your class grading screen. Here it is. Let me minimize this to make a bit more room. The layout of columns depends upon the class you have and what's been defined as its reporting system. We have photos available here if you need to look at them. You can assign a grade in this case, and again the grade scale will be defined for you. A comment, in this case there are two comments, one called a recommendation, the other called a comment. The spacing, the size for those is again defined by the system. We have a little detail button here, and we have criteria that are to be entered. Now notice, let me just enter some things and try to mark it as done. When I do so, it tells me some things still have to be done. I have to put in this stuff. Again, notice that the bands have been defined so that when I put in a value, it automatically puts the code and the description in. And in some cases, I have an NA column, but that's not allowed. Now if I mark it done, it's done. Notice that the comment and the recommendation obviously were not required in this case, as compared to the criteria and the grade, which were. Also, by assigning the grade, it's automatically carried that forward to calculate the Semester 2 grade and awarded Semester 2 credit. These, however, have been designated as being overridable, so if you needed to, you could change it. The credit, however, is automatically awarded, and that can't be changed by you. That's the student done. You could then move on to the next student. It is recommended that you periodically save your work, just in case anything happens to your network connection, so you don't lose the information. If at any point in time you are saving your work and something happens, the best thing to do then is to close the program and reopen it. If you get an error message, don't just continue to enter, otherwise you may lose that data. There is additional information available. For instance, information from previous quarters. If I wanted to see, say, the quarter 2 grade, I could bring that out, or the quarter 3 grade, or maybe even I want to see a comment that I made previously. Any of that information can be brought out while I'm doing this, though the next time I open it, it will revert back to the automatic layout. Note that if your school uses the review process, once an item is marked as reviewed, you then can no longer edit it. You would then need to contact your administrator to make changes. The same if you see the grade has been locked. Once locked, no changes are possible. If schools use the online review process, then you may be assigned to do some reviewing. Let's go to the Review tab. It's very similar to the Class Grades tab. If you've been marked to review any, your reviewing classes will be shown here. Again, the division and the term are defaulted. Here you have your classes, and you can see whether or not the grades have been done and whether or not they've been reviewed. Let's open this one up. Until a comment has been entered, you cannot make the review. The reviewing process will vary from school to school, but generally it involves doing the spell checking and making sure that the comments are not only grammatically correct, but appropriate for the grade and the student. Details on this process will vary from school to school. There is also the possibility to enter an additional comment here. Called the reviewer's note. If you want to leave a note, whether that is for the teacher of the course or for an administrator, you can enter it here. Again, until the comments are actually done and marked as done, you cannot do a review. But that's the review process. When you finish reviewing, you mark it as reviewed, and it will show up here as marked.